Hi guys, Adam here with Adam L Photography, and today we're looking at this. It's the Blackmagic Design Ursa Viewfinder, the EVF for Blackmagic Design Ursa and Ursa mini cameras. I picked that one up. It's been on my shopping list for a while. Finally saw it on Amazon Japan for a big sale and went ahead and pulled the trigger, spent the money. Cried a little bit because it's not cheap, but yeah, in the end, it's definitely something that I needed to add to my kit, so I went ahead and did that. Now, one of the things about this viewfinder is when I was looking online for reviews and stuff, there wasn't much to really look at. There was a lot of people showing you how you can use it on other cameras, but very few people were talking in, well, video anyway, about how it actually works and what it's like to use. So that's what I thought I would do. I would fill that gap and do a quick video today. So without further ado, let me show you on my Ursa itself. So this is my Ursa Mini, and that's the viewfinder attached to it there. Let's get the box out of there. Okay. So this is the viewfinder here. It's actually pretty big. You know, I thought it was going to be a bit smaller, but it's quite big. It's got a bit of size to it, which is good because I don't like fiddly little attachments and stuff like that. They tend to break and don't work as well. But this one has a pretty good size to it, and it has a lot of variations and things you can do to it to make it suit your workflow. And that's a great thing. So we'll get right into what that's all about. Now, I'll start off with saying a little bit. There's a little setup that you should go through when you get this to make it work really well. So first thing to do is get back to your computer, plug it in. There's a little USB port right here behind this rubber grommet. Plug it in, get the Blackmagic Camera Assist, the latest version going, and update this to version 4.1. When you do that, it'll open up a lot of functionality that you can set on this through the camera menus itself. Now, in the camera menus, you have a whole bunch of stuff that you can set for it. Once you go into your monitor section, you can set the front SDI, which is where the viewfinder connects to, set that, and you can change a whole bunch of parameters then. You can change like what kind of grids you're going to use, basically what's going to be in the display menus when you hit the display button on the viewfinder itself. And then you can also go through and program these two side buttons, the function 1 and function 2 buttons, to give you an extra couple of parameters that you can do with one click without having to open up the camera body itself and mess around with all the settings. So let's go into what buttons you have. So you have 3 buttons on the top here. You've got zoom, display, and peak. All right, so zoom, pretty self-explanatory. Display, that'll turn on and off whatever your display settings are, your grid lines, etc., all your ASA, your shutter angles, white balance, cards, all that kind of information which is on the display, clutters it up. Sometimes you want a clean feed, so you hit that display button, you can switch that on and off. That's a nice little toggle there. And the third one is peak. So for your focus peaking, which is another great little tool to have one click away. Now, the thing about that is, all 3 of those buttons are programmable. So if you don't want to use them for those particular setups, feel free to change them, which is really good. You can do that inside the viewfinder's menu. All you have to do is press and hold the top button, the zoom button, and then it will bring up the menu. And you go through a whole bunch of different settings and change a whole bunch of stuff in that menu. It's a little bit fiddly because you've got to use these 3 buttons. It's not touchscreen like we're all getting accustomed to. However, it still makes enough sense that it's not going to drive you crazy. It's a bit more like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera in that sense. Okay. The viewfinder itself, really, really adjustable. You can do like a 180-degree swing like that. That's pretty nice there. And you've got this a couple little screws in here to make that looser or tighter, and another one here. And you can extend this out. So you can go, if you're left eye dominant, you can set that up so it'll be covering your left eye. And if you're right eye dominant, you can just turn the little eye cup around and adjust the slider. It's got quite a lot of play, and find the spot that's going to be right for you. I'm right eye dominant, so I like to leave it like that. You can also adjust it on this plane here too. It's a little bit stiff because it's new, but you can adjust it out like that and get a fair bit of play in the camera, in the setup. So it's going to adjust, if you've got a huge head or a little head, or you just, got a funky style or whatever you want to do, it's going to allow you to get a pretty comfortable fit. Now the camera, so the viewfinder itself hooks up to the camera, connecting here on the front SDI out and the 12-volt power supply there. So that goes into the viewfinder and powers it up straight away. So as soon as you get the viewfinder, if you plug those 2 in, you can look straight through it. You can see what's going on. Woo! Look at that. You can do that straight off the bat. So that's really nice. It's very easy to just like grab it and plug it in and let it go. A few setup things that you might want to do later, I do recommend, as said before. Now, one of the things I like about using this viewfinder, because I have these three up here, so I can do my zoom, I can zoom in on the image, I can hit the display and check what's going on in my camera settings, I can peak my focus. But because I've got the update in there now, I can use this function 1 and function 2, which I can set up to also go to the front SDI out in the menu system, and then that gives me the ability to add a couple more functions that can be changed with one button. So for me personally, I have zebra patterns, and then on the second one, I have my just drops down my head. So it allows me to jump between my 60 frames per second, 24 frames per second with one press of a button in there. So that's a really good setup. So now I've got 5 one-touch presses to change things while looking through this view cup, which is really nice, the viewfinder. It's well built, it's sturdy. One thing I will bring up, and this is just me being an old fart, old viewfinders I remember from back in the day had this feeling of like kind of zooming in on the display itself. So when you put your eye in the cup, you had this like really sort of like large screen feeling, even though it was a small screen. It was just something to do with the way the optics were set up. I don't get that feeling with this viewfinder. It does feel like I'm looking at a very small screen. I would have liked that to be a much more dynamic kind of impactful sense when I looked in the view cup. Now that could just be something that I'm missing, and if it is, please drop a comment below and let me know about that, because then you'll be like, oh, I love you, because I really want to change that, but I'm not sure how to do it. So that would be fantastic. But otherwise, it does what it says. It's super crisp, it's super clean, there's no lag. I'm having 0 issues with it, and in bright sunny days, it's a godsend. So that's my take on the Ursa, the Blackmagic Design Ursa viewfinder, and I would recommend it to anyone that had one of these cameras. They're really, really good. So if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, like, share, comment, all that kind of good stuff, and most importantly, happy shooting.